During and after these times of the COVID-19 pandemic, do we have a plan for our food demand, supply and nutrition sufficiency as a country? Join us as we discuss what lies in store for our future food demands and supply options for the people of Kenya. Follow the discussion on all our social media platforms. Farm Kenya, working to secure your growth. Brought to you by Farm Kenya in partnership with International Potato Center and Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, CALRO.
Welcome back. You're watching Farm Kenya Connect here on KTN News and KTN Farmers TV. I'm Abi Agina, and we've been having a great discussion around food safety in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic. And my panelists have been having some very interesting insights around what are some of the mitigation efforts that we need to take as a country. And we are, of course, encouraging you to keep sending in your questions on our various platforms. On slido.com, we are taking some of your questions, as well as on Twitter, where you can engage with us at KTN News KE, or you can engage with me at Agina Abi. And at this juncture, I'd like us to take things to another level with my panelists. We have talked heavily about food safety. We've forgotten to talk about food distribution, which is a vital component of the value chain. Dr. Lusike, as a country, are we embracing the right food distribution channels? What can we do differently?
Yes, we are. We do get food, so we're doing something right, but are we doing the right things all the time? When the farmers in Nyandarua poured milk into the rivers, yet we had Kenyans in Turkana who didn't even have that milk, then you can see there's some weaknesses in our system. We don't have cold or warehouse facilities located in different parts of the country that can be able to aggregate from the ward level to the county onwards to the region and to the big cities, so that we are able to move the food, so that when a farmer grows it, they know who will move their produce from where it is. Like the brokers, they're hated, but they provide a service of transporting the food and to move it to where it's needed. If we had maps that are marketing maps that are able to tell you there's so much potato here, so much purple-fleshed sweet potato, that one is coming after the orange-fleshed sweet potato. There's so much guava or Cape gooseberry here. Then that way the traders are able to know where to go and get, and this is how much it is. And then these maps are live, they're not stagnant. So on day to day, you can see where there's a lot of potatoes, there's a lot of maize, green maize, cabbage, African indigenous vegetables, so that it allows for diversity. Because now as COVID is continuing, we're accessing food, but is the food diverse? That is a big issue. So the issues of marketing using ICTs become so important, so that you're able to use whether it's social platforms to market your produce, or able to use ICTs to know where the produce is and where the market is. So those are some of the things I believe that we can do. Kenya is doing quite well. The Minister of Agriculture has spearheaded, it has put everybody in place to be able to make it possible. But we're still behind. We're like about 10 years behind to get to where Kenya should be now. Where are the storage facilities in all the counties? Where are they? What is the government doing in providing those facilities so that when I grow my tomato, I don't have to rush to the market? Or in some places, farmers will actually spray them after harvesting so as to increase shelf life. So what is the government doing to put these facilities that handle dry produce or wet produce to ensure that when it gets to the market, it is a safe product? So we need that infrastructure put in place so that a farmer, whether they're on a quarter of an acre or on 100 acres, can access the same market and can be able to command the price that they want because they have all this ICT information. Thank you.
Very salient points there. And Dr. Dina, what do you make of our food distribution systems as a country? What do we need to fix? And are there countries that we can benchmark with that have embraced best practices?
Thank you. Yes, we still have a lot to do, particularly for potatoes, if I may mention that. I always say it's like potato is synonymous with bad roads. So where we have potatoes in plenty, where they're doing very well, the roads are really, really terrible. So we don't have those structures to be able to distribute. And remember, potato is perishable. So if it's not able to reach the market on time, then we tend to lose them. And that's why we can talk about 20 to 40% of potato is lost through post-harvest handling, through post-harvest handling. So we need to look at the roads. But on the other hand, potato farmers, and I think it's true with the other farmers, is they market individually. So we don't have an organized voice, we don't have an organized structure that can actually say, come to this place, you'll find the potato at this center, and then you can be able. So you find the traders are going to pick a few bags from this farmer, and then they travel again to pick another few bags. So if we can bring this together, so that then the truck that is leaving Mombasa to Elgeyo Marakwet or to Nyandarua just knows that they're going to package all of them in one place. They're going to get their full truck packed once. On the other hand, I think post-harvest management is still very poor. The way we handle potatoes or any other crops, I think we are still quite behind in the way we do the handling, post-harvest handling, the way we package them, the way we even transport. Our transport is just, our transport trucks are not really meant for food, you know, so we just transport anyhow. And some time back, we were transporting seed, and by the time it reached to the farmer, we've lost so much. So even the way we transport in between, so we still have distribution problem in our country because farmers are producing, but it's not able to reach other people, the consumers. So as we said in the value chain, that the consumers are actually pulling the food and the producers are pushing. So they are not able to push to reach to the consumers. So we still have a lot. And allow me to say, I think for potatoes, I would mention Rwanda. In Rwanda, I think they have aggregation centers, so the truck will only leave when they know they have this type of potatoes, they have these quantities, they have these varieties. This is where we need to look into. And also the cooperative or farmer-producer organization. If we can have this farmer-producer organization, then they can bring the farmers. Remember, 80% of our farmers are smallholders, so they are not producing so much in terms of the volume, but we are encouraging them to produce the highest or the maximum in terms of the potential. And so if this organization can be able, if we have farmer-producer, then it can help so much in terms of the marketing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dina. And Madam Joyce Maru, I don't know if you have any more input on that as we take a few questions on our Slido platforms.
Yeah, I just want to highlight just to extend what Dinah has talked about, because I'll give you an example of the work we are doing, for example, in Western Kenya on sweet potato. So we get all these producers producing really nice, a lot of sweet potato, yet nutritious. But the next question, they'll always call you and say, where is the market? What do I do with the surplus that I grew, I have fed my family, I have this surplus, where do I sell it? That tells you that as much as we are doing very well, I think the government has really tried to facilitate a lot of these distribution channels, especially during the COVID, but there's still a long, long way to go. And I think one of the highlights or one of the issues that I would want to highlight is the use of digital tools for marketing, for linking farmers to market, for providing information to farmers on prices, where is the market, and taking advantage, continuing to take advantage of the mobile technology. I think Kenya, we are one of the countries that are leading in this, you know. Apart from Nigeria, I think Kenya, we are one of the African countries that are doing really, really well in terms of taking advantage of digitization of agriculture. But there's still a lot of room, there's still a lot of potential, especially like now when a lot of our population have access to mobile technology. How can we leverage on that to make sure that we are using the technology to develop our market system and to pass information to farmers? So our distribution channels still have a long way to go, but technology can really contribute into that and making our market systems to open up so that the sweet potato that is coming from Western, I'll be happy the day I'll go to Marigiti Market and find the mama mboga selling sweet potato as part of the food that we just consume, and not just sweet potato, but the orange flesh sweet potato. That will be the day that I'll know that our distribution channels are working better and they are more effective. Thank you.
Very compact answers there from our panelists. Let's now take some questions from our viewers watching us from home. I have an anonymous question here. Someone is asking, hello, I would like to know how we can handle the millipedes since they destroy our potatoes in Naromoru and thus inhibiting our productivity. Thank you so much for that question. Let me pick another question here. From Kevin Kipto, he's asking, where can farmers get their suitability maps? Are they free? Are the maps also generic or specific to food crops? Another one here from Peter from Nyanyuki saying, how do I get this discussion later? It's so enlightening and very well put across. Thank you so much, Peter from Nyanyuki. Stay safe. You'll be able to catch it on our website. Let me take one last question from Nyakio. Is biofortification synonymous with genetic engineering? Very compact questions from our viewers watching us from home. Let me direct this question to Madam Joyce Maru in regards to the millipedes and of course the pests that do affect different crops. What would be your response to this?
So thank you, Abby. I will choose to defer that question to Dinah, but I will answer the last question on biofortification.
Correct.
Whether biofortification is synonymous to genetic engineering or what people call as GMO. This is a very important question, and it's always asked every time we are talking about the nutrition aspect of our sweet potato. People are always asking, but is it GMO? I want to say that the crops that we are promoting in Africa, the sweet potatoes, are done through conventional breeding, meaning that we are just taking the same varieties of sweet potato, and we look at, for example, the variety that is high yielding, the variety that has another trait that is very desirable, and whether it's for vitamin A, and we breed those, and we breed them over time, over a long time, to come up with very suitable varieties that are preferred for our, for our agroecological zones. For example, in Kenya, what can grow very well in Kenya, what can withstand all these climate changes, and what can yield high, because the farmers is always interested to know, apart from all these exciting nutrition things you're telling me about, is it still high yielding?
Yeah.
There are all those traits that we must, but what I'm trying to say here is, it is not GMO.
All right.
Of course, we have the genetic, the GMO technology being tested elsewhere, but whatever is being promoted in Africa is conventional breeding, and there is nothing to fear about.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. It is not synonymous, yeah.
All right. And Dr. Dina, I just want to pick your mind as well, especially there's a question here, someone is asking, is it safe to eat green potatoes?
Thank you for those two questions. I want to say that potato is, I think the way we love potatoes, the way people love potatoes, it also attracts so many pests and diseases. And I think someone mentioned about the millipedes, and there are many other pathogens that actually affect potatoes, and that's why we are coming up with varieties that are resistant to pests and diseases. Millipedes happens, it's not so common, but when it happens, it can really attack. And remember, it is under the soil, so you cannot use a chemical that you are spraying above, and therefore you will have to use chemicals that you trench. And I cannot really say which one we can use at the moment, and therefore I'll refer to that farmer to where the extension is that is close to that person, so that they can come and check. Now, green potatoes, I would say it's a big no. When potatoes is exposed to the light, it actually produces some chemicals we call solanine, and this is poison. So don't eat potatoes that they have turned green. They are poisonous.
All right. Thank you for that clarification. We want to now get to the tail end of this discussion, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, time does fly. We now want to take your closing remarks. Let me start off with Dr. Yamo. After all is said and done, how do we eliminate hunger as a country, and what do we need to do moving forward? In just under a minute or 30 seconds, Dr. Yamo, you go first.
Thank you, Abby, for that question. I think the critical thing from a livestock perspective is that we need to take better care of our animals. We need to ensure that we meet the 5 fundamental freedoms that animals should have, including feeding them well, having enough space, ensuring that they are free from disease or pain or injury, allowing them to have their natural, to express their naturalness, and ensuring there's no stress. Because a happy animal produces better, but also produces better quality products, which then are not going to be detrimental to our health, ensuring that we have good quality products that are safe, but also ensuring high productivity, which leads to good food security.
Thank you.
I think I'd like to leave it at that level.
Thank you, Dr. Yamo. Dr. Lusike, your closing thoughts in just under 30 seconds.
We only have 10 growing seasons up to 2030 if you produce crops in the long rains or in the short rains. But if you can grow in both seasons, then you have 20 growing seasons. So how do we then achieve Vision 2030 or the Big Four agenda, where Kenya has said that by 2022, Kenya will be 100% food secure? What do we need to do? We need to change the issue of just eating maize. We need to diversify the foods that we eat. Because I know there are 4,000 species of foods that are edible, but only 4 in Kenya are eaten commonly, and they're all carbohydrates. So when are we going to eat more fruits, more nuts, more grains like finger millet that are better and more healthy for us? That way we're able to maintain the diversity that we have within our country, but also to ensure good health and less disease. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lusike. And to my other panelists, Madam Maru, your closing thoughts on this whole debate around food safety, food security. You have less than a minute to wrap up.
Thank you very much, Abby. I want to say, like I said earlier, that some of these issues that has come as a result of COVID-19, as much as we are blaming COVID-19, it has just exposed weaknesses in our system. So how do we make sure that we are not caught unawares in the future, and with that we develop sustainable food systems to withstand such crises such as COVID, the floods, and the locust invasion, and so forth? Like Dr. Lusike has said, we need to diversify and build resilience and make sure that we promote the diverse diet, including crops like the nutritious orange flesh sweet potato, among others, so that we have a lot of food and a lot of diet diversity to choose from. So mine is to call upon the national government and the county government to invest in the nutrition-sensitive agriculture for sustainability and cost effectiveness. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Maru. Finally, Dr. Dina, call to action as we wrap up.
Thank you very much. When COVID-19 actually reached here in Kenya, it affected everybody, and we thought, and people started working from home. And our employers facilitated us to be able to work from home. What am I saying is, can we help the farmers? Can we facilitate the farmers to work from home? They've always worked from home, but there's so much that they are not facilitated. And what I would say for potatoes is seed, Farmers, let us use quality seed. There is a lot of work that has been done on seed. There is also a platform called Viazi Soko that is done by National Potato Council.
Yes.
I am encouraging farmers to actually visit and get information on that.
All right. Thank you so much to all my panelists this evening. We do appreciate your time, your sacrifice, and of course, your useful sentiments that you've been sharing here on the program. We also want to thank all our viewers who've sent in their questions on Slido or on Twitter. And of course, we also want to thank Dr. Isaac Kalua, who is watching us and saying, very great debate. Well, that's why we wrap it up. My name is Abi Agina. Remember, the conversation goes on online. That's why we wrap it up. Have a lovely evening.
Conversation going on our social media platforms as we check our policies reserved to ensure an abundant food supply for the people of Kenya. Farm Kenya, working to secure your growth. Brought to you by Farm Kenya in partnership with International Potato